Everybody has a plate. Everybody. And Kawhi's is that he cannot wear gloves. It's remarkable. Shout out to Jimmy Kimmel, by the way, because that is the most unlikely talk show booking I have ever heard of. I am impressed. Welcome to The Jump. I'm Rachel Nichols. Today, I am joined by NBA champ Kendrick Perkins and our insider Warriors reporter Nick Friedel. Thank you both for stopping by. Coming up, we had great dunk reaction from an opposing bench last night. So our staff cooked up a medley of the best opposing bench reactions all time. You are not going to want to miss that. First, though, back-to-back MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo has achieved a lot in his 7-year career, but what has eluded him so far? Even a crack at an NBA title. And he made it very clear in talking to reporters yesterday that he intends to change that over the life of this new 5-year extension he just signed with the Bucks. Take a listen.
I want to be here. I want to help my teammates. I want to help this organization win a championship. I want this organization and my teammates to help me win the championship. Obviously, it goes both ways. But as I said, like I try to keep it away from my head. Like, he puts a lot of pressure in athletes, and he gave me headache all summer. Like, people asking me and people talking about me. You know, I just wanted to be left alone. I knew what I wanted in my head. I knew that the goal is to win a championship, and I knew that here we have a chance to win a championship. You know, I think we got better as a team, and we're going to continue to get better. And there's always a chance. You know, there's always a chance to win a championship here.
Perk, you heard him repeat that word, championship, over and over. Do you believe Giannis and the Bucks will get it done sometime in these next 5 years?
Yes, I do. Look, I think Giannis keeps getting better every year, Rachel, and he's going to keep getting better. And right now, with Giannis re-signing in Milwaukee, I truly believe that it is eye candy to other free agents that are going to become free agents in the offseason, and they're going to want to come play with Giannis. It's not necessarily moving to Milwaukee, but they're going to want to come to play with Giannis because they feel like they could win a championship if they're alongside of him.
Rach, I still have serious doubts. And Perk, I think the Bucks are in a much better place than they were a couple months ago, getting Eric Bledsoe out, bringing Drew Holiday in. That is a huge upgrade. But I don't know if Mike Budenholzer is the coach that's going to help them get over the hump. And I still have questions about Giannis in the postseason. When you watch Giannis against the Miami Heat, and they built that wall, and Jimmy Butler's on him, and Bam Adebayo's on him, I just don't know, even with this move over the last couple of weeks, if they have enough on the roster right now. I've always loved Giannis. I think he can get better. Chris Middleton is a hell of a player. But unless Holiday can raise the level of his game to a different point than we've seen, I still don't know if Milwaukee can both get into the finals out of the East and then get whoever comes out of the West.
That's really such an important point about getting to the finals at all, because Kevin Durant is in the conference now. That's just a game changer, right? So if Kevin Durant turns into the Kevin Durant of old, and he's got Kyrie Irving with him, and also when you talk about recruiting, guys, Kyrie and KD are trying to recruit future free agents and guys to come play in Brooklyn. And Milwaukee, of course, a smaller market. But Giannis is a big draw. I would want to go play with that guy. It is going to be a challenge. And you, of course, then have the gauntlet in the West with all the strength out there as well. We will see. Here's what I know. The part that's on Giannis to get better himself, the way, Nick, you were talking about, I have faith that that will happen. And then we'll have to see where the other chips fall. Let's move on to James Harden, though, guys, because his saga with the Rockets, yeah, still there. Yesterday, our Tim McMahon published a really interesting piece with some behind-the-scenes details of Rockets culture the past few years. McMahon spoke to former Rockets staffers. And look, none of this is a big shock, right? A former Rockets assistant coach said of Harden, quote, "We knew who the boss of the organization was. That's just part of the deal was when you go to Houston. The players, coaches, GM, owner all know." The same assistant also said, quote, "I don't blame James. I blame the organization. It's not his fault. He did what they allowed him to do." A member of last season's coaching staff added this: "If they have multiple days off, everybody knows James is going to fly somewhere else and party. But he's then going to come back and have a 50-point triple-double, so they're okay with it." Perk, we know superstars in this league granted a certain amount of leeway, but how much is too much for an organization to allow?
Well, here's the thing, Rachel, is that James Harden is grown. Last time I checked, he's a grown man. So just because they gave him, those type of superstar privileges, that don't mean it was the Rockets' fault. This is done all around the league when superstars get privileges. It's James' fault that he abuses the privileges and goes above and beyond. What was the Rockets supposed to do? Fine him, suspend him? He's the guy that's been leading the league in scoring for the last 3 years, an MVP candidate, a guy who's was almost close to averaging a triple-double. James Harden, what do ownership or the front office is supposed to tell James? Don't do this, we're going to fine you, and he's coming back and delivering on the court. James has to be to blame for this.
Perk, you played on a lot of different teams with a lot of different stars. Is what James Harden was asking for that much different than what other stars around the league get away with on a regular basis?
Well, I'll repeat your question again, Nick. I'm sorry.
Is what Harden was asking for and what he was doing in Houston, is that much different than what all kinds of stars around the league do on a regular basis?
No, it's not that much difference. I know a lot of stars that ask for, certain players or ask for certain demands in the organization. Right now, we just started off showing Kawhi Leonard. Last time I checked, he's taking a helicopter to San Diego every day after practice. He's late for team planes. So, it comes with being $100 million player.
I think that's the key, though, and you said it earlier, Perk. It's what you do with those privileges, right?
Yes.
Because it is a back and forth. And by the way, James Harden is far from the first person to be in this situation. Let's go back to the Jordan rules and Michael Jordan, right? Or on this show when Grant Hill came on with Tracy McGrady and had to inform him of the dinner he had been at with Tim Duncan and Doc Rivers when they were both playing in Orlando, where Tim asked if his fiancée, now wife, could come on the team plane, and Doc, trying to hold the line on special privileges, said no. And Tim Duncan didn't end up in Orlando with those guys. And T-Mac and Grant were just out of their head years later that it didn't happen. They were like, let her on the damn plane. So obviously we have seen this for decades. The issue, though, is what you do with those superstar privileges and how each player who gets them uses his judgment on whether it hurts or helps the team. And by the way, it's a sliding scale, and there's a lot of wiggle room there. But a great example in Tim McMahon's story was Russell Westbrook, who had those same exact privileges, right, in Oklahoma City. That entire organization was built around him. But being built around Russ means that you were built around his need for everything to be organized, everything to be on time. Russ loves things a very particular, certain, steady way. So that was actually good for the organization. Well, he then got to Houston, and it was the opposite with James Harden. Tim McMahon details the late planes, late practices, and that was one of the reasons that Russ wanted a trade. So it is a sliding scale. It happens in every team across the years, but it didn't work out in Houston, and they are bearing the fruit of that now. All right, guys, before we go to break, I do want to take a quick second to mention that today, the NBA Foundation announced a total of $2 million in inaugural grants that will drive economic empowerment in Black communities through employment and career advancement. 7 organizations, including this great program, the Knowledge House, have been selected as the recipients of the first grants from the foundation. Kudos to the foundation and a very important step toward equality. Also coming up later on this show, after Gordon Hayward was injured again yesterday.
From the limousine riding, jet flying, Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, son of a gun, Ric Flair. Woo!
Woo! Miss Energy, Lakers, Suns. Shout it if you got it. Suns out and running, but LeBron, he thinks about going for the chase down block, and then I guess he realized these games don't count, Perk. Preseason LeBron, right?
Yeah, he had to remember this is year 18. I'm 36 years old. Although he wanted to go get Jay Crowder's shot, he had to give himself a friendly reminder.
It's like, let's not get cute.
Right, this isn't the finals. This is not the finals. Save those legs, LeBron.
Make buckets. Bol played 6 minutes last night and got up 7 shots. He finished with 10 points. Shut off a little range like his dad. Those Washington Bullets days. Nick, excuse me while I opine over here. Is this the year of Bol?
Yeah, let's go, Bol. You saw it in Oregon. You've got some time to progress in the bubble. I believe in it. I think he can help him this year.
I believe he's going to help him this year. That's the reason that they didn't re-sign Jeremy Grant or Plumlee. They knew Bol was coming through, and he's bringing that smoke.
Would love to see him get a little more to do this year. All right, Miss Finishing. Get it? Because Finland? Yeah, no, all right. Lauri Markkanen trying to pack it up over the defender, comes up short.
Oh, no.
Perk, does Lauri need to relax a little bit here?
Oh, I love it. I love it. This is setting the tone for the preseason, setting the tone for the season. I love it for this young Bulls club.
Rach, this is a sign of things to come this year for the Bulls. It's going to be a rough ride. It's going to be a rough ride this year.
Make weight room. Let's stay with Bulls Thunder. Daniel Gafford dropping the shoulder, moves the defender, and then he packs it. Now check out the bench. Little subtle reaction there for the opponent. Well, yeah, he's not on our team. Okay. Nick, you excited about this young man?
Rach, any Bulls highlight is a good thing. So,
yeah.
let it happen. Let it happen for Gafford now.
Nick, you are never going to be allowed home in Chicago anymore. Your family will not take you back.
That's what you call daddy ball right there.
There's a
That's
long
what I do
list
to
of
my
people that won't
son.
let me in, Rach.
That's true. Actually, that is true. That's true. It's not exclusive. All right, time to run it back to the best opposing bench reactions ever. You know when you're not supposed to cheer, but you got to cheer. 2001 Vince Carter windmills at home against the Clips. You gotta give your props for that.
Whew. I feel like Vince Carter invented the windmill. Like, he used to do it on the regular so much. It felt like he invented it.
2012, Gerald Green skying. Look at that.
That's when you know. That's when you know. When everybody's going crazy on both benches and trying to hide it, that's when you know you've done something
91,
right.
Michael Jordan puts it in reverse. Now, he did that a lot to opposing benches. I'm not even going to blame anyone. Right? If you're the Nets, what are you supposed to do?
You know, we had a rule, though, Rachel. We couldn't give that type of action when I was on the Celtics if it was an opponent that did that.
People do. Gerald Henderson here going up and over Dwight Howard, and even the Lakers. Yeah. There you go. And 1985, Larry Legend dropping 60 against Atlanta, and the Hawks bench was just going crazy the whole time. Over and over through this game. I guess it's Larry Bird.
Look at those shot attempts, though.
I remember watching this one on video. I remember watching the celebration on the video, and I thought, if Larry Bird is good enough to make an opposing team go crazy, then he really is one of the all-time greats.
So I'm glad you finally are giving Larry Bird his due, Nick. Thank you for recognizing one of the greatest ever to play.
The stamp of approval.
Exactly. All right, let's switch gears to the Hornets because yesterday the team announced Gordon Hayward suffered a broken finger on his shooting hand in a preseason game. Now, the good news is that Charlotte considers him to be day-to-day. Doesn't seem like a long-term injury, but Perk, should the Hornets regret that 4-year, $120 million contract at all? I mean, Hayward is dealing with another injury here. How much should that worry them?
Yeah, they should regret it. They should have regretted it before the injury. Look, listen, I was not a fan of them signing Gordon Hayward, an injury-prone guy that's on the back end of his career, to $100+ million. I think what the Hornets have to do is that they have to move in the right direction by continuing to draft well, continue to hire and player developing guys on their coaching staff, and just build a franchise through the draft. By the way, they had someone that they could have signed to max money, but they chose to let him walk, and Kemba Walker go to the Boston Celtics. So even before Gordon Hayward got hurt with his finger injury, I was not a fan of this signing.
Rach, how many different ways can we say this was horrible? from the second that it was signed, this was horrible. The Hornets got too competitive. They thought, oh, all these teams are going to sign Gordon Hayward. We better up our offer. We better make it happen. And then everything stopped, and they went, oh, no, he picked us for that kind of money? Okay. Yikes. That deal is not going to be looking good in a couple of years.
Right, but here's
not at
my
all.
devil's advocate approach here. I mean, you can only sign who you can sign. They have to spend the money somewhere, right? And they have not been a free agent destination. And if they didn't offer him that money, there was a good chance he would have stayed in Boston. They would have still given that money out, but to lesser players. I'm trying. How's that going? How did that sound? No? Nothing? Not good? No. All right. I tried.
No. Ray, it's so bad.
This is so bad in so many ways. I mean, it didn't make sense at all. I was wondering. I said to myself, why?
Oh, Charlotte.
Why, Mike?
We'll continue this conversation off the air. Coming up in this show, please stick around. I sat down with Clippers owner Steve Ballmer. This was a really great conversation. You're not going to want to miss it. Yes, we talked about what happened in the bubble. Believe me, he was upset as everybody else was. And the future of the team as they move to Inglewood, trying to uplift the franchise. Stick around. You're watching and the Mavs taking on CP3 and the Suns. That is a good basketball game. So Steve Ballmer, one of the most enthusiastic team owners you will ever see in any sport on any sideline. We got the chance to sit down to talk about how he got that way, the Clippers' experience in the bubble, and the difficulty of parting ways with Doc Rivers. We also talked about the Clippers' new arena. Here's our full conversation. Steve Ballmer.
The road of going to a championship is hard. As a pair and as a duo, it has to start with us. I'm ready to dive right into this and give everything I have.
This is going to be an unprecedented season. What does it feel like to you to be starting up again?
I'll tell you the craziest thing. I went to our first preseason game. I sat in that arena. You're used to, 19,000 strong, pumping and thumping. And I was sitting, 15, 20 feet from the court by myself.
You're kind of lonely in that little seat.
I mean, it just feels crazy to be in there. And of course, you got to think about the disease, but the experience, I think, will be a little crazier maybe even than the bubble, because the arenas are so much bigger.
We are used to seeing you as one of the most demonstrative owners in the league. You're on the sidelines. Last year during the season opener, you cheered so much you actually tore a hole in your shirt, which was amazing. I was fascinated to learn, though, that this wasn't always your personality. I read an article talking about how you used to hyperventilate before Hebrew school because the idea of speaking aloud in front of the whole class was you were so shy. It was so off-putting to you. How did you get from there to here?
That's a really good question. No, I was super shy as a kid. When I took my first job, my guy started the same day. He described it this way: "Hi, I'm Steve Ballmer, and my hand's all sweaty. I'm good to meet you." Business school.
That was you?
That was me. Business school. I remember the first time I talked in a business school class. It was like, I could barely get the words out. But once I sort of build my momentum, get comfortable, and I would say it was even the same way when I bought the Clippers. I wasn't going to just, I could be enthusiastic. That's fine. But, I had to learn my rhythm with the players. I had to learn my rhythm with the coaching staff. They all flow pretty freely now. But yeah, I was a little shy to start that too, Rachel.
It's been such a short offseason. The bubble is very fresh. Patrick Beverley had a quote the other day. He said, "Everyone around here is pissed off, which is good." Do you get that same sense?
Yeah, I mean, look, nobody liked the way our season ended. Nobody did. There's no antidote. Just being randomly angry doesn't do anything. It's crazy. I think there's a variety of ways people deal with adversity. One is to go put your head in the sand and deny. One is to, get timid. That's not our guys. I think our guys say, okay, we're not happy, but we're all about getting better. How do we get better? How do we get better? How do we get better?
You didn't experience what happened in the bubble from afar. You were down in Orlando for weeks and weeks at a time leading up to that Game 7 in the second round. What did it feel like for you to be sitting in the building and watching those last minutes tick off the clock?
I missed not 1 minute of anything in the bubble until the last 40 seconds, and I just couldn't stand it. I got up 40 seconds.
Did you leave into the concourse?
40 seconds, I left, and then I saw the Crockies, and I went over and congratulated them, and the game ended.
Coaches are the fall guy, and sometimes it's not warranted.
Steve Ballmer decided we need a fresh start, and look, that's a brave, bold move.
Paul George and the Clippers have agreed to add 4 years to his contract.
Last season didn't end. The playoffs didn't go the way they wanted them to go. And certainly there's a lot on Kawhi Leonard and Paul George with a new head coach in Ty Lue to get this figured out.
I'm interested, especially your approach to this, because you come from the tech world. You helped build Microsoft. How did that experience affect the way you approached the NBA team, especially this offseason?
In the tech world, you have version updates. Okay, what's a version update? Well, we can do a major upgrade in the summer, and we can do a minor upgrade at the trade deadline. Right. So you think about things in a little bit different perspective. Sports is more final. Tech, you can say, oh, we'll improve the product next release. Oh, no, every 24 seconds. Yeah. You know how you stand. Every game, every season, and there's no, hey, I'll make it up in the future. Mm-hmm. It's all even more accountable.
Doc Rivers had been with the team since you bought it, and really a key point of contact for you. How hard was it to decide you guys should part ways?
That was very hard. I mean, Doc, I would call my mentor in the league. I don't know what it's like for most people when they first come in and as governors, but I didn't know what I was doing. I learned more from Doc than I did from anybody else, and I really appreciate his mentorship. But yeah, it was time. It was time to try something a little bit different. And I respect Doc a ton. I like Doc a ton. I learned a ton. And except when the Clippers play the 76ers, I wish them a lot of luck.
You're also trying to improve the team by building a new arena. Why is it so important to you that you have your own place?
We need our own home. I mean, this is a crazy place. People who spend time in LA, fine. I grew up in Detroit and Seattle. There was one Pistons. There was one Supersonics. There was no contention to be the basketball team in town. Well, here there is. We need our home, our identity, our personality.
And I will say, you didn't ask the state or city for money. You guys are spending the money for this. Do you feel it's going to fundamentally change who the Clippers are in Los Angeles?
I think it takes a lot of things for us to fundamentally change who we are. I mean, not any one thing. I think it'll be another significant milestone. But we've got to win. I mean, the arena too. But, people want, it's winners that transform the legacy of the team, what the team really stands for. And it'll be a step. But the big step will be getting our hands on one of those pretty little trophies.
Thanks so much to Steve Ballmer for his time. I thought that was exceptional. I really enjoyed that conversation. And Perk, I love the accountability that he took, right? He was like, no, the arena's going to be nice. It's all good. Contracts are nice. We have to win. Do you think that he's right, that winning a title can change the perception of the Clippers overall? Do you think it's really the only way that can happen?
Absolutely. Look, LA and Boston are similar. They're not selling for the conference titles or 60-win seasons. They want championships. The Los Angeles is spoiled, and it's because of the Lakers. But Steve Ballmer is right in another instance. They have to win because they have to worry about Kawhi Leonard. He hasn't signed a contract extension yet, and here he is. He's going to be coming up with a player option after this year, so he's right. They have to win. And they have to win big.
Rach, first of all, the interview was great, but watching Ballmer try to stay calm is like watching Tibbs try not to run like a maniac up the floor and keep his mask on. I miss a world where Ballmer is screaming like a maniac and telling you the Clippers are fantastic, and when Tibbs is flying F-bombs all over the place. So that will make me feel like the league is back. But more to the point of the question, absolutely the Clippers have to win a title. It's the only way they can change the narrative. They've got the talent on the roster. Ty Lue has won before. They have the pieces. I just don't know if they're better off right now than they were a year ago, because I feel like everything was lined up for them to win right away. And now everything's a little shuffled. I understand why they made the move, but I'm not buying them being able to get to the top this season.
Well, we'll see, right? I mean, the Heat certainly were not expected to get to the NBA Finals. That's the best thing about this sport. We don't know I was going to say October, but it's December, but this year, whatever. We don't know in the preseason what is going to happen. I love the part where he talked about being shy. That blew me away, that he said that he used to hyperventilate before he had to even speak in class. And now, look at him. I can certainly say the Clippers are better off than they were 6 years ago when he bought them.
Absolutely.
What an evolution for that team, and that journey continues. Thank you very much to Steve for sitting down with us. Coming up, we're going to talk a little Steph Curry. So much on his shoulders this season, especially without Klay Thompson. Where do the Dubs stack up in the West? Hey, good thing we have our Warriors insider here on the set today. Our season preview coming up next.